Welcome back to the pile, the best and greatest zone in all of the YouTubing field. If you too would like to be part of the greatest zone that there is to ever exist, hit the subscribe button and you too can be banished. Just until the end phase. Was that too much? Should I need to chill with that? I don't know, dude, whatever. Listen, whatever. Today we're going to be discussing the new Dragonmaid archetype, or should I call it Dragon Mommy archetype. This pile of trash is the new take for a brand new young girl archetype, wifey, whatever. I don't know what you guys call it. I don't know. I'll be going over the cards and reading through some of them and seeing just exactly what my opinion is on them and how I feel that this archetype is going to unfold, I suppose, when it one day eventually gets here in the TCG. But first, my number one question is, how many times do you expect the attractive young female archetype artwork to work? I mean, are we just gonna rehash this in different forms and interpretations for the next foreseeable future? Okay. When you purchase this set and try and get these cards, you will get complimentary Dragonmaid bathwater. Yes, it's the latest edition in necessities for Dragonmaid duelists out there. Are we special summoning monsters, or are we special summoning body pillows? Because that's really what I'm seeing here, is body pillow merch. Tier 1 meta archetype? Nah, who cares about that, dude? Something interesting for the TCG to play eventually one day, since we've had the same old rehashed meta for like the last 3 years or something? Nah, dude. Body pillows and bathwater. Just while we're on the subject of tangents, back in my day, I'm sorry to do this, I'm sorry to get all boomer duelist on you. Back in my day, when I was a young duelist, cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Were monsters. Literally monsters. Look at this guy. Look at that. That's disgusting. That's Dark Geroid. It's horrible. It's nasty. Look at those tentacle-looking legs and claws and a big giant zit for like a chess piece. That's horrible. Look at it. It's that's the worst thing I've ever seen. It's disgusting. This, on the other hand, is bathwater. That's body pillow merch. So the way this archetype functions is by tagging in and out of these larger versions of themselves, and the baby dragon becomes the big dragon by special summoning it out. Baby and big dragon archetype. Where have I heard that one before? Remember dragon rulers? This is then, now. Feel old yet? I get that there's a spelling mistake there, but you know, let's he tried. Okay, he tried. We need more Lovecraftian archetypes and cards. Farfa, did you just read out your own tweet as part of a meme review? Damn straight I did. Make sure you follow me on all my various forms of social media for the most amazing, hilarious, funny, and bestest meme content. Best. Yes, I know we have the elder entities, but that's like 4 guys. Barely any of them see play, and we just need an archetype. Just a big, horrible, nasty, disgusting tentacle, faceless, maddening whispers of the old entities that come and destroy the world and take control of that kind of cool, edgy stuff. That's what we need more of. Just imagine an elder entity main deck archetype. PogChamp. So as I said, this archetype is based around summoning small dragons that can tag out and into big dragons. They get their effects when they're normal and special summoned. And that's pretty much it. They don't have like some kind of crazy 1-card starter card in the same way that I guess you could say Salmon Great Gazelle is. There's nothing in the extra deck that particularly interacts too much with the main deck. It doesn't seem to put a lot of disruption on the board easily without using its entire hand and specific card. Almost everything in the entire deck is a hard once per turn. Level 3, Wind Dragon effect monster, 15 attack, 17 defense. You can only use the first and second effect with this card name once per turn. If this is normal or special summoned, they all have this clause on the cards, so they all do something when normal or specialed. This one is Armageddonite, basically. Sends a Dragonmaid card not just monster, but a Dragonmaid card from the deck to the graveyard. You'll see why that's relevant in just a second. And they also, all of them, the small ones, have this effect as well at the start of the battle phase. Return it to the hand and special a level X monster Dragonmaid from your hand or graveyard. So you can kind of see the interaction there. Normal summon this, send the dragon, battle phase, bounce, special summon. You see? Pretty simple. Kind of the heart and soul mechanic of how the deck works is this tag in and out mechanic. It specifically specials level 8 monsters, but some of the other ones only special summon level 7s. To give you an idea of Parla's, I guess, Dragon Ruler form, this is the level 8 that she tags into, or, you know, supposed to because of the same attribute or whatever, I guess, is the idea behind them. This is a level 8 wind, 27 attack, 17 defense. You can only use the first and third effect once per turn, and all of the big dragons have this effect. That's exactly the same. So discard it and then they do something. The second effect is they have a continuous effect where they cannot be destroyed by card effects when you control the fusion, which is the boss monster of the deck. And they also all have the third exact effect, which is at the end of the battle phase, you bounce it to the hand and then special summon the like smaller version from your hand. So this discard effect is the ability to discard itself, target a face-up monster that your opponent controls, and it can't activate its effects that would activate on the field. So you can see there, it kind of acts as sort of a slow effect veiler. Here's the fusion to give you more of an idea of how it's supposed to synergize. It's a level 9 light dragon fusion, 3k attack, 2k defense. The fusion materials are a Dragonmaid monster and a dragon, and that's it. So very, very generic, as long as you have one card as part of the archetype. A lot of people have been suggesting things like Super Poly, etc. for your opponent if they control some kind of dragon, which they probably will because guard dragons are insane. And she has an effect very similar to Azure Eyes, the Blue Eyes card, which is the first thing that I thought of when I read it. So once per turn during the standby, you can target one other, not herself, unfortunately, Dragonmaid you control. Special in defense from your hand or grave, a Dragonmaid whose level is 1 higher or lower than that monster's. So basically the idea is that you target a smaller dragon, like Parla or something, and you can special summon one from the graveyard who has the same level as hers, +1 or -1. So that gives you 2 more bodies on the field to be able to tag out during the battle phase. And she also has the effect, which is perhaps the only form of disruption this entire archetype can really do. When another face-up dragon you control is returned to the hand, target a monster your opponent controls, destroy that monster. So you can see the synergy. Parla can tag out at the start of the battle phase, and then you can destroy a monster your opponent controls. Decent, not a bad effect at all, but unfortunately there is basically no way in this entire archetype to trigger this outside of the battle phase. There is a trap card, but you know, trap cards are slow, it's not searchable, it's not really ideal to have to rely on a trap card, but this is, like, I guess the easiest to access form of disruption the deck has, which is, you know, why I don't think this archetype is particularly that great. But a good, really strong boss monster nonetheless. The issue is just being able to trigger it multiple times is really the hard thing, because the pop effect isn't once per turn, so that is kind of cool. Maybe some support in the future will make this a lot easier to trigger rather than just waiting until the battle phase or relying on a trap card. Give you some more examples of the babies. So this is the normal special one, is a wolf bark. And then at the start of the battle phase, you can tag it out as well for a level 7 dragon. So the level 2s have a 7 equivalent and the level 3s have a level 8 equivalent. Now, something that I did want to point out as well is that during the standby, when the fusion monster summons one from your graveyard, so if you control a Dragonmaid, House Key can special summon like this by targeting level 3 like Parla, and then this one triggers when it's special summoned to special summon another one from your graveyard. So you can have like 3 babies on the field. Like there is like a lot of ways to swarm and put a bunch of bodies on the field. So I guess it's got that going for it. Her big dragon version, I feel, is really powerful until I read it again correctly. So his discard effect is discard it. Special level 4 lower dragon monster from your hand. I thought this was graveyard for hand or graveyard, just because I assumed it was hand or graveyard, because they all say hand or graveyard other than this. This makes it a lot worse than I first anticipated. So it's just a discarded special summon. Not really that great, because that's not really disruption. Like special summoning a smaller one doesn't provide any form of disruption in the archetype, and it can't be destroyed by card effects, and at the end of the battle phase it's the same idea where you can tag out with a monster in your hand. This is the rota of the deck when it's normal to specialed. Add a Dragonmaid monster, not card, which is unfortunate, which is why I don't think the trap is really that great, because it's not searchable in this deck or easy to access. So she can add the Dragonmaid monster from deck and then send the Dragonmaid monster from hand to the grave. So you add one discard, it's like a Bujin Yamato kind of style thing, and then it has the same tag out effect, level 3 fire. The big dragon version has the discard effect where you can increase the attack. I wouldn't really call that disruption. So again, quick effect, but you know, I don't think it's really strong enough to deal with your opponent making a board and stuff in the same way the fusion could, but then that's too slow because you have to wait till the battle phase. So at the end of the battle phase, return this, tag it out, same thing, level 3. So notice something as well. The level 8s tag it to 3s and the 3s tag it to 8s. They don't necessarily have to tag it to the same attribute. So Parla doesn't have to go into Luft. Parla can actually go into this one. So the Thigh Mommy can turn into the red one. Just because she's the level 8 one. And the final one of the archetype is this, which is kind of like a card trooper when it's normal or special, mill 3. So as you can imagine, putting all the big dragons in your graveyard is actually kind of cool. Even milling any of them is really good because the fusion can bring back smaller ones. So I guess that's decent. And then she can also tag out. The big version of her is Dragonmaid Fluss here, 26 attack, level 7. The discard effect is target a monster in the grave and return it. So it's like kind of like a DD Crow that shuffles away. But this was the issue that I mentioned way at the start. No real disruption. It's not a quick effect. There's nothing that makes them quick effects. The only quick effect big dragon is the special summon, which I argue doesn't really do much, and the honest style effect. Not really great, and it has the same tag out and protection as you would with the fusion. Now, some of the spells are much better. Here's the fusion card, a normal spell that you can just use as a straight up polymerization. Fuse a dragon from your extra using monster in your hand or field. But the cool thing about this card is that it's kind of searchable with Parla if you don't draw this. So Parla can send this to the graveyard because it's Armageddon Night for any Dragonmaid card, not just monsters. And if this is in a graveyard, target a Dragonmaid you control, add it to your hand and return that monster to hand. So you can summon Parla, dump this, use this, bounce Parla back to hand. Now you've got the fusion material and the fusion spell in your hand with just one card. Pretty cool, pretty neat. That way you're able to extend and put another monster on the board with the other spell card. This is Hospitality of the Dragonmaids. You can only activate a card with this name once per turn. Special a Dragonmaid from your hand or grave in defense. Then send to the grave a Dragonmaid from your deck with the same attribute but a different level. So this is the, I guess, extender of the deck. It's a good card, but you know, the fact that it's not searchable and you just kind of hope to draw it. When I tested this on stream, I tried to play it as a control deck. I would think that this deck is supposed to be a control deck. Yes, you can play guard dragons, but bear in mind, by the time that this deck comes to the TCG, most likely LP will be banned by then. If it isn't, I don't know what would be going on in Konami's mind if that card isn't hit eventually. But, you know, as of right now, online, I guess, you can play this with guard dragons, and I think that's probably the best way to do it. Lithium has a video on it. I highly recommend you check out his build. It's probably the best iteration of it that I've seen so far. That's probably the way I would play rather than a control deck. But until it does come to the TCG, depends on the meta, I don't think this deck's going to be really great. There is a continuous spell, which, you know, gives some attack. If you control 2 or more Dragonmaids, you can add something back from your grave, not special summon, so it's not an extender. And if it's sent to the grave, Dragonmaids you control will be unable to be targeted. So I guess during your opponent's turn, a big layer, it's very win more, but during your opponent's turn, you can special summon Parla from the graveyard with House Key. Parla sends this to the graveyard. Now your monsters cannot be destroyed by card effects or targeted by card effects, which is a lot of protection, nothing to sniff at. But I do find that interaction very win more for playing what is honestly essentially a brick unless you're winning the duel. Like if you control 2 or more Dragonmaids, I feel like you have to be in a good position for this card to be good. I'm not a big fan. I would just play 1 at most. And finally, the trap card. The only real way for this deck to make any kind of disruption, target a Dragonmaid, then activate one of these effects. Return it to the hand. If you do add a Dragonmaid card from your deck to your hand, accept itself, so you know, it's kind of cool. It's +1, or you can return to target a monster to the hand and then bounce a spell trap your opponent controls. So in the end phase, you can bounce their back row. The only way to trigger the fusion outside of the battle phase in this archetype. And there you have it. My rundown of the Dragonmaid archetype. Other than Parla having really amazing thighs, there's nothing really special that's got me really super excited for this archetype. The fusion monster is super cool. I get that you can summon it with Agarpain. You can do a bunch of guard dragon plays. But the biggest fundamental problem that I have with this, it's like, okay, cool. So the best way to play this deck is as a guard dragon deck. But at the same time, if you want to play guard dragon, there's other engines that do this better than this deck, you know? I think I would argue Thunder Dragon makes more impressive boards than this. The Dragon Link stuff we see in the OCG, I feel does it better than the Dragonmaids do. So by the time it even does come to a TCG, how useful is it going to be really? Like I said, I really can't see LP lasting another format. It's a little bit better than Witchcraft, I think. That's what I'll say. It is a little bit better than Witchcraft. I will mention that. That deck sure flopped as the so-called new Sky Striker. Thank you everyone for watching my Dragon Mommy review. If you enjoyed this video, like I said, make sure you hit the subscribe button, show your support by following me on other forms of various social media. Join the Discord community. We have a great community where you can find rulings and news and information, and most important of all, memes. Hit that subscribe button and join the best zone in Yu-Gi-Oh! The Banished Zone. And I will see you in the end phase.
Oh, I thought and promised and years how it went down. I did nothing wrong and I did nothing wrong whatsoever. I got and I didn't even know I got that.